Hello, everyone. In this video, I'll be giving an overview of our upcoming business plan, financial plan assignment, as well as our business plan pre-work assignment. So like the industry analysis, this is a two-part assignment culminating in the completion of a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet financial plan. So as we discussed in our lesson on accounting, accounting is the language of business. And so this financial plan will be communicating the viability of your business idea through numbers. And so ultimately, this financial plan will put forward what's called a pro forma income statement or a projected income statement for the first 3 years of your business. And what the income statement will do is it'll, again, through the numbers, tell the story of whether or not your business idea achieves profitability over the course of those first 3 years of business. Now, as we've discussed, it's actually quite common that businesses operate at a loss for the first number of years, and certainly for the first year or two, as they are covering those initial startup expenses. But hopefully what you're able to accomplish through this exercise is showing the path to profitability, and hopefully you're able to show how your business achieves profitability by that third year. So let's go ahead and start with a quick review of the assignment overview, right? And so for this assignment, we are, again, it's managed in Microsoft Excel. It's going to be turned in a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. And there's instructions on the business plan, financial plan assignment detail page. There's a link out to download Microsoft Office 365. As a student, you have access to Office 365 for free, and one of the software programs there is Microsoft Excel. All right. So in this assignment, we're going to be identifying, which you've already done to a certain extent through the business model canvas and through the pitch deck exercises, but we're actually going to be identifying the various startup costs and operating expenses, various expenses involved in starting your business and operating your business, as well as identifying specifics around revenue streams coming into your business. So again, this financial plan is going to quantitatively tell the story of how your business plans to achieve profitability. So we're going to use the Excel spreadsheet template provided, and we're going to follow. There is also this instructional PDF, how to complete the business plan financials. And that looks like this right here. So basically, the Excel template, let's have a quick peek at that. When you open it up, it looks like this. And what you're going to be doing is this template is set up so that you're just putting information into the yellow highlighted boxes. And so down here along the bottom of the pane, you see there's several different tabs, and each of the tabs has some yellow boxes and then some white or teal or other color boxes. Basically, for each of these tabs, you're needing to populate the information in the yellow cells, they're called, in these yellow boxes only. And so as you're populating information in for the sales plan, what items are planning to sell, the HR plan, who are the salaried employees of the business, who are the employees that we need to make to operate this business. Financial assumptions, so what sort of advertising and research and development are involved in operating our business, what sort of utilities and insurance and travel expenses and office expenses are associated with operating the business. This cash requirements tab speaks to the startup expenses. What sort of building investments do we need to make? Do we need to invest in any delivery vehicles or any research and manufacturing equipment? Maybe we're starting a gym and we need to buy gym equipment, and then computers and office equipment. Any sort of expenses that we need before we're able to start our business. We're going to capture those here. In this next tab, cash sources, will be eventually, once we've populated numbers into these first tabs, the cash requirement to start the business is going to show up in this blue square. And then we got to figure out how it is that we're going to come up with that cash. So perhaps, and again, feel free to be creative here. And so assuming that you and your team partners are going to be business partners in the business, perhaps you could state that each of you are going to be contributing some amount of initial investment to get the business off the ground. And so that would be captured here. Say you're each going to contribute $10,000. Again, this is hypothetical, right? And then, but perhaps that doesn't cover it all. So you might need to go out and get a loan from friends or family, or you might need to go out and get a loan from a bank or some outside institution. All right, so once we've populated numbers there, and I'll show you a filled out example of this document here in a moment, and that'll be linked to that as well on Canvas. Once we've filled in all those various numbers, it will spit out our income statement. And so let's go ahead and look at this example that I've created. So this is a hypothetical business idea. We're calling it OC Surf Designs, right? And so right here on this first tab, we need to identify, are we selling goods? Are we selling services? In this case, we're selling surfboards and apparel items, right? So we're selling goods, and we've typed in the name here. For the sales plan, we've identified the menu of items that we're going to be selling over, for our business. And so for each business, you'll have to identify what specific items are we selling, and at what unit price are we selling those items. And in the first year, what is the estimated sales volume? How many of those particular items are we planning to sell? So in this case, first year, we're just getting off the ground. The marketplace doesn't quite know about our new business. And so we have some conservative sales projections. So for shortboards, we're going to estimate that we're going to sell 7 per month. And so that gets us to 84 a year. And for longboards, only 3 per month. And for t-shirts and hats, 15 a month. All right. And so by filling out this info right here, and you can see there's some items that in year 1, like wetsuits and hooded sweatshirts, in year 1, we're not planning to sell yet. We're not going to introduce those until year 2. But anyways, by filling in these yellow tabs, this Excel document is set up to automatically add up these total sales dollars. So, and to give us an annual revenue projection here at the bottom. So again, we don't have to do any of that math. Excel is set up to do that automatically. So for the sales plan, we're putting in the items we're selling, the unit price, the unit volumes for years 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see, we're growing from year 1 units to 7 a month, year 2, 15 a month, year 3, 30 a month. And similarly, our price is going up by about roughly 5% a month, or a year rather. Okay, so that's our sales plan. Similarly, with our HR plan, you can take this information from your pitch deck exercise, but what are the specific titles? What functions, what roles need to be done within your business in order to operate it, right? So in this case, we have a surfboard shaper, a product designer, a marketing manager, a sales manager, and a bookkeeper. And so once we put those titles in, we also need to identify what functional area of business from the 7 functional areas that we talked about is that particular role aligned to, right? And then from there, we put in a position salary. And so a salary, as compared to a wage, is an annualized figure. So it's a total amount of dollars that particular position would be paid over the course of the entire year. And so in this case, these are fairly low annualized salaries, right? No one's going to work for, in this particular case, each business is going to be different. But in this example here, the surfboard shaper, now keep in mind, he or she in the first year is only making 120 surfboards, which may sound like a lot, but that's not enough to justify, a $100,000 salary, right? And so basically the position salaries are as outlined here. And as we'll get into in a moment, for each of these plan pages, there is a respective notes page, right? So we go, okay, how did the person that built this financial plan, how did they arrive at a surfboard shaper being paid $3,960? That seems odd. So if we go to the notes associated with the HR plan, again, we have the same titles here that are coming from right here. And we see that for the surfboard shaper, he or she's getting paid $30 per board, that first short board that they make, and $40 per longboard that they make. So in year one, we got 84 short boards times $30 and 36 longboards times $40. And that gives us that same figure that we saw back here, right? And so again, this document, again, is numerically telling the story of your business. And so as an outside potential investor, potential business partner, they're going to be able to see these numbers, and then they're going to want to be able to understand how it is that you arrived at those. All right. So as we go through and fill in these items, and there's instructions for each of these items. We're not going to go into much further detail here, but you're going to be pulling this information from the previous work that you've done in your business model canvas and your pitch deck exercise and your industry analysis research, and even further research you may need to do in order to fill this, right? So we have things like advertising expense. How is it that we're going to let our customers know that we're in business? And how is it that we're going to be engaging our customers on an ongoing basis? And what sort of budget are we setting aside to do that? So again, here's financial assumptions. Then we get to our cash requirements. Remember, this is the startup expenses. So before we can even go into business, we have to get our building set up, and we may need to purchase delivery vehicles or manufacturing equipment, and office equipment, and so forth. So I've in this example put forward some numbers, and it totals a total cash requirement to start the business of roughly $70,000. Well, most entrepreneurs aren't necessarily most folks that are starting a new business aren't going to necessarily be sitting on the amount of capital required to start the business. And so if we go here, you can see this number, 69,000. It shows up right here, cash required, 69,000. So again, all the non-yellow cells are automatically populated by Excel. And so this is the total investment that we need to satisfy. And so what we do here, we have the various sources of investment capital. So owner investment, that would be you and your business partners, outside family and friends, short-term bank loans, various forms of bank loans, right? So in this hypothetical example, the business owner has roughly $14,000 of their own money to invest, right? But that still leaves whatever, $55,000 that needs to be raised elsewhere. And so here we've got a couple loans from some friends and family at repayable over 10 and 5 years at an annual interest rate of 5%. So this is something that you can look up for, what is the kind of prevailing interest rate on a small business loan, right? And so in this case, we're saying we've got a $5,000 credit card with zero interest for 3 years. And then we're getting a $25,000 bank loan from the local bank, repayable over 5 years with an annual interest rate of 7.5%. So again, all we need to do is go and find these particular figures and put them in. And so once we've done that, and we've identified the notes, the assumptions that kind of support those numbers that we've put in, this document's set up to populate our income statement. So here, again, there's no bright yellow cells here. We got these kind of pale yellow, but there's no bright yellow cells here. And so our income statement is automatically populated. And so again, the income statement is known as the most important of the financial statements because it tells the story of if our business is able to accomplish its main fundamental goal of achieving profitability. And so again, as I preface this video by saying it's very common for businesses to operate at a loss in the early stages, but we want to see this trajectory of the business slowly moving towards profitability and eventually achieving profitability. And so if we drop to the bottom line of our income statement, we see, so if you can picture here, year one, we come down here. In year one, the business is operating at a loss of negative $46,000. In year two, operating at a loss of negative $17,000. But by year three, you can see that the business is achieving profitability. And that's the storyline that an investor is going to want to see your business doing, achieving, right? And so this graphically tells that same story. Here's our blue is the revenues, the dollars that we're bringing in. Green is the net income or loss. So this basically is saying that our revenues weren't enough to cover our expenses in year one. And you can see the discrepancy is smaller in year two. And then by year three, our net income is positive, a positive $37,000. And so the assumption here is that if the business is able to achieve something similar to what we've outlined in this document, we're going to see that trajectory. Okay, so that is the business financial plan. That is the second part to this assignment. So in the first part of this assignment, it's called the financial plan pre-work. And this is where we are just gathering the ingredients for those various tabs that we just talked about, right? And so again, the goal is the same. We're just gathering the information. And so this I'm not really concerned about the format of this assignment, the pre-work assignment. Basically, there's 7 categories of information that align with the tabs in our financial plan workbook. So type this into any word processing software, Microsoft Word, and then export it as a PDF and upload this to Canvas. And that covers this pre-work assignment, right? So we're outlining the company name. In the second stage, we're outlining the specific products and services offered. So from that surfing example, we've got shortboards and longboards and wetsuits and backpacks. Itemize all those items that your business is going to be selling, or those services that your business is going to be selling. Provide a sales price for each of those items, and then estimate the cost of producing each of those items, right? So I've used this example before in class. I've got this thermos. Let's say that it retails for $40, but let's say that it costs $20 to build, right? And so the cost of goods sold as a percentage of the sales price would be 50%, right? So if the cost to build this is $20 and the sales price is $40, the cost of goods sold as a percentage of the sales price would be 50%. So for each of the items, each of the products or services that your business plans to sell, you need to provide those 3 pieces of information. Human resource requirements. Again, this is coming straight from the pitch deck. What are the titles of each of the positions? What functional area of business does each of those roles serve under? And then what salary, again, what annualized compensation numbers will each role make? Advertising and R&D expenses, those are our 4th category. And so here we just need to identify what forms of advertising are we going to employ to raise awareness about our business. So maybe we're doing social media advertisements. What sort of budget are we going to set aside each month for that? Perhaps your business requires some level of ongoing research and development. That's not the case for all businesses, but if it's relevant to your business, identify a budget, and in the notes, just speak in general terms as to how that budget will be used to advance your business. Operating expenses, again, these are all aligned with the tabs that we just talked about. So again, outlining assumptions around building requirements and utilities and insurance, startup expenses, outfitting the building for business. So perhaps you need signage, perhaps it's a restaurant, you need to put in a kitchen or put in tables or fixtures, vehicles, manufacturing equipment, office equipment, and perhaps you need to, before you can start selling inventory, you have to purchase it, right? And so maybe you need some amount of money to make that initial inventory investment. And then lastly, you probably won't know at this stage how much it's going to cost to start your business. But in this last sources of investment section, you're just going to want to identify the various sources of financial capital that are available to you. So you might say, hey, each of our team members has roughly $10,000 to $15,000 to invest, and then any remaining balance will be coming from short-term loans from friends and family, as well as a certain percentage coming from a small business loan from the local bank. All right, so again, these are the ingredients for this first part of the assignment, for this week's assignment, the pre-work portion. And then those will spill into next week's follow-up assignment on the actual Excel workbook. All right, that about covers it. Again, there's resources at the bottom of the financial plan assignment overview. So we've got the blank template. That's the template that you will be filling out for the second part of the assignment. There is the OC Surf Designs reference example, and that's in a PDF format, so it's not an actual Excel document, but you can refer to that if just to kind of see how it's been approached for that example. There's the instructions for how to complete the business plan financials, and so that is a document right here that just gives some of the same information that we've talked about in this video, but just in written form. And lastly, the instructions for accessing Microsoft Excel. All right, looking forward to your guys' financial plans. Feel free to reach out if you've got any questions. For those of us